Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension Presents. So I'm making this video in response to the scandal in Pennsylvania about 300 priests who abused thousands of children. People were asking me, there's like, Father Mike, when are you gonna comment on this? When are you gonna make a statement about this? When are you gonna talk about this? When are you going to condemn it? And I just thought that was, I was like, well, part of me was asking, what do you mean? When it's obviously condemnable, right? It's obviously evil. Why would I need to, and just go with me on this, just please be patient with me on this. I'm kind of like, why would I need to condemn it? Because it's obviously like the worst thing ever. It's just like, it's beyond, okay, I'll get to that in a second. Well, because you need to speak out. I'm like, well, it's easy to speak out against evil when evil's obvious, right? So right now, there's no argument. There's no argument that that's like, literally, for me, it's the worst thing I've ever read in my entire life. It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It is beyond comprehension. Honestly, in my comprehension, I don't understand it. It's beyond my imagination. Like, I've seen Law & Order, SVU, and I've seen, like, okay, terrible things that people have done in, like, depicted in that TV show. I could never imagine in my entire life what I heard about priests doing to these kids. Never, ever. And so they're like, Father, speak against this. I'm like, if I were to speak against it now, I would be merely virtue signaling. That's all this video would be. It'd be virtue signaling. What's virtue signaling? Virtue signaling is putting on the appearance of like, hey, I'm on this side. When it comes to the evil thing, like, I'm against the evil thing. And that's obvious. But see, the problem with, there's a difference between virtue and virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is I get to claim to be on the right side and condemn something that's obviously evil at no cost to myself. I don't actually need virtue in order to condemn the evil. Virtue signaling. Because I can make a video like this and we can post things on Twitter and we can post things on Facebook and say like, this is so terrible. And it is, obviously, right? But it doesn't cost me anything. That's not virtue, that's virtue signaling. The real virtue are the people who worked on the grand jury for the last, however long, 2 years and went through all that garbage to find out and prosecute and get to the truth, to get to the bottom of things. That's virtue. That's real virtue. That cost them something. The actual virtue has to do with those good priests and good bishops who are willing to say, actually, no more. Someone needs to speak out about this. That's real virtue. And the biggest thing of the virtue is those victims who, when the statute of limitations in Pennsylvania was lifted, after years of the shame they experienced, after years of what they had to go through, when they had the chance to speak, those kids, now grown, those victims spoke. That's virtue. Making a video is virtue signaling. Standing up when no one else is standing up. Right now, everyone's standing up. This video could be just another voice. But when those people who were hurt, when they stood up, that's virtue. And that's so important. So then if that's the case, then why I'm making the video, if all it is virtue signaling, is because one of the things I ask people is like, well, why would you, I don't know, again, I'm just apologize for this, but like, why would you need me? Like, I'm just some priest in Minnesota. Why would you need me to say something about this? And one of the things that kept coming back was, well, we just want to know that you priests are as angry and upset about this as we are. And I can't tell you how that just like struck me, because I'm like, I just assumed that you assumed that I would be, right? I just assumed that you assumed that all priests and all bishops would be like, what the, just like, I mean, I realized the gap, right? Between the gap of trust that's between a lot of people and the church when they have to be told that, oh, the horror you experience when you heard some of these stories is the horror that your priest and your bishop feels. But if that's the question, then here's the answer. As I said earlier, I had never imagined and I could never fathom the level of pain these kids went through and this turning a blind eye that had happened in the church for years.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. Today we are going to talk about a spectrum and how it can be screwed up by abuse. For the spectrum of what a person normally is on the gay spectrum falls between a 2 and a 7. Some are 8, some are 9, some are 10, some are 1. If you're 1, you're totally straight in my book, if that's the way you want to go about it. But most people fall in the spectrum. For the podcast about pride, it is mostly about my story. And kids, I shield your ears, and maybe you don't want to hear it. But I went to a boarding school in upstate New York. I had a horrible mentor my first year and wanted to go to a mentor. Let's say his name was Father Wilson. My dad did not want me to be a bad perception with a mentor that lived down in the dorm with me. Father Wilson he wanted to become my mentor, which in the second year of boarding school he did. My mentor, for the first time around, he was led to be a great guy. He was very nice to me, and one could argue maybe that was his plan. Me and this kid got in a big fight. I'm sure it was both of our faults, and we could have gotten a lot more trouble. But he was able to stick up for me, but when he got mad, man, it was scary. At this time, he remained nice to me for almost a whole year. Then the question started to ask, are you bi? Are you straight? It's okay if you're bi. I'm accepting of it. Weird questions like that. He would ask me where I would ejaculate, where I would do this. I didn't know back then, but it was probably weird questions for him to ask. More on this story next week. Now we've got the ESPYs. The Kansas City Chiefs were named the best team of the year. They took home the third Lombardi Trophy and second in 4 years after defeating the Eagles 38-35 in Super Bowl 57. They finished with a 17-3 record, most wins by franchise history for the season, and have 7 Pro Bowlers. The Chiefs also won their 7th straight AFC West title, the longest streak in franchise history. This is the Chiefs' first ESPY award victory for the best team. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco and Chris Jones accepted the award. It wouldn't be proper without Kelce. For your right in the most thrilling regular season game of the season was the Minnesota Vikings trailing the Buffalo Bills late in the fourth quarter and needed to convert a long 4th down and keep the game alive. Kirk Cousins threw a pass to Justin Jefferson that seemed certain to be interception. Instead, Jefferson secured the ball. Here is that catch of the picture. Angel Reese named the Breakthrough Athlete of the Year, says national championship is on the way. She is an American basketball player for LSU. Jimmy V Award previously given to Lamar Hendrickson. Let's hear more from that.
Cancer isn't something you fight alone. Nobody fights this alone. My care team, family, and friends, they encompass my entire heartbeat. They were my lifeline when I didn't know if I could overcome this. They are my lifeline as I continue on my journey. If I leave you with anything, and I cannot stress this enough, please reach out to anybody going through anything similar to this. So like Jimmy V said, don't give up. Don't ever give up. And I won't.
Damar Hamlin embraces the Buffalo Bills training staff for the Pat Tillman Service of the Year Award. The Bills training staff honored Pat Tillman, but Damar Hamlin got introduced to help save his life. The outstanding ovation from the crowd after a video of Hamlin's recovery. The Bills' safety was in tears. After the announcing of training staff of the award winner, the personal that came out on stage, embraced him with a hug. Head athletic trainer Nate Brisky encouraged everyone to learn CPR to save the next life and talked about how happy he was. Thank you for alive, brother, Brisky said. Best woman athlete Mikkel Schaefer was named best athlete in women's. She became the winning skier of the year. Alpine Cup victories, 11 Sheriffen two-time Olympic gold winner, 5-time World Cup champion. This is Sheriffen's third nomination, Best Athlete Women's Sports, but her first time winning the award. NBA championship, Jamal Murray won the Comeback Player of the Year as he was the best athlete as he came back from an ACL and give the Nuggets their first NBA title, franchise history. Again, the Comeback Player of the Year, but he was ready to share his award with John Jones. One more time through the whole awards. Best Athlete, Men's Sports, Caleb Williams, South Carolina Football. Best College Athlete, Sports, Clayton Clark, Women's Basketball Player, Iowa. She was great. She was fantastic, and she could score like anybody else. Had the best year in college sports maybe ever for a woman. Best Athlete, Disability, Snowboarder, Zach Miller. Best NFL player, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. Best MLB player, Shohei Ohtani, Los Angeles Angels. Best NHL player, Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers. Best NBA player, Nicole Djokovic, Denver Nuggets. Best WNBA player, Aja Wilson, Las Vegas. Woman Best Driver, Max Verstappen, Formula One. Best UFC fighter, John Jones. Best boxer, Keisla Shields. Best soccer player, Lionel Messi. Best golfer, Scott Sheriff. Best tennis player, Novak Djokovic. For more, visit this link. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report.